Here we are, ending the end of May. Lovely, sunny, warm, coming into winter's day. We've been having a few frosts in the morning. It's been a bit colder in the evenings. So winter is definitely here, or coming, fast approaching. Haven't made a video in a while, and I've been working sort of 5 days a week, and now I'm down to 3. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to get started with our garden project. So we want to do some market gardens, and it means clearing a massive section of gorse behind me. But something cool about gorse is that it is a great nursery plant. So in here, about maybe a year and a half ago, we cleared a lot of gorse through here, and as you can see, a lot of the natives have been coming up. So that's about a year old, and it's sort of up to my hip. So that's really cool, and there's some bit taller ones there. Pretty awesome. So as we come down this little path, I've started clearing some of the gorse. We're going to leave a bit of a band of a few meters just for privacy of the neighbours. But down here, I've just started clearing a pathway. So I'm using a Japanese saw, which is incredibly efficient. I really enjoy using it. I'm not such a keen user of a chainsaw because there's sort of more likely things to go wrong, in my opinion. So I've been using a silky saw. It's doing the trick really nicely. It's very satisfying to cut biggest trees with a handsaw. So as you can see, some of them are pretty big. These gorse are about sort of 10, 11, coming on 12 years old. You can see on the rings, if anyone wants to count them. There we go. So they're pretty decent. So I've just started clearing a few, stacking them up on the side. And as you can see, a lot of natives coming up in undergrowth. So these gorse have provided shelter and nutrients while they grow. Mapo. Lots of variety of natives coming up. Lots of ferns. So the reason why we haven't cleared the gorse straight away is, one, it wasn't a massive priority, and two, once you clear it, things are going to grow in its place. So as well as ferns, you've got blackberry, which is, in my opinion, worse than gorse because it trails in the ground and pops up wherever. There's blackberry there. You can see it trails along. So if it's young enough, you can sort of pull it out fairly easy, but once it gets a bit more established, it's really hard to pull out, and you've got to find the roots and then sort of dig them out. So that's a big reason why we haven't really cleared a big area, is because something will take its place, like blackberry, or you'll get lots of little gorse come up because the sun is open up for them, and they'll just go nuts. Because as you might know, gorse seeds last in the ground for quite a few years. So we've just been clearing the areas that we need when we need them. But now's the time for our gardens. So I've just cleared another couple metres, and I've reached the paddock fence, because on this property used to be a beef paddock grazing cows, and this is the border that we want to start our garden on, that side. So I might just clear down the border, or the fence rather, leaving a bit of space on that side, because on that side is where we live. There's a lot of manuka I can see surrounding me. You know, there's a big one there, so that's great. It means I can leave that, and then there's a nice secondary you know, pioneer plant to shelter the natives underneath. So silky saw works on the pull stroke rather than the push, like conventional saws or western saws. Just like that. It's pretty decent tree for a gorse. I'm just going to have to somehow get them around this manuka so it doesn't squash it or break it, and maybe stack them up in that little gap there. So I've just stacked up a few gorse. These are actually cut, it just looks like they're still alive. And I just wanted to show you how much mulch there is at the bottom of a understory of the manuka and gorse, and there's a bit of moss here actually. But even the ferns, you know, all break down and create great soil after some time. You know, this is 10 years of brown matter decomposing and creating a great soil, so it'll be interesting to see how well the veggie garden does. Anyway, I've reached a bit of a bigger manuka. This is a type of fungi that grows in the South Island. I don't really see it much in the North Island. But I tried drying them and using them as fire starters and they worked okay. I normally just trim the lower branches of the manuka so I can walk through it. A lot of the gorse, when it's young and outcompeted, a lot of it does just die and the branches can just be broken down. A lot of these, you know, bracken ferns grow really tall, so I just pull them down so I can get in there. The ferns are very robust. You cut them back and they just grow back again. Okay, so we've got the fence line on my left, and the manukas are still there. I've left them. Liberated this marble leaf. I'm not sure, I have to look that up to make sure. So that it's got some light, because it was the gorse was sort of overshadowing a bit, but as you can see it's grown fine. It's still, you know, surviving. The thing with gorse is that once the manuka gets over the height of the gorse, then the other natives will come through, and once they're over the gorse will die. It just takes a longer time, and a lot of people don't want to wait 20 years for the native bush to do its own thing. So the stream's right here. That's cool. So now I can go up the stream or down the stream, and on the other side of the fence, and that will be the area where we're doing the gardens. Very exciting. I often find abandoned birds' nests in the crux of gorse, so clearly birds don't mind it. And I'm guessing this one was a smaller bird. Very clever, aren't they? They can just make a nest with moss like that. Very cool. So I just wanted to talk about the gorse cutting itself. The very best approach is to dig down, you know, to the ball of the root, and cut it as low as possible, then cover it with you know, the soil again, and it's very less likely to have reshoots. But a lot of time it's easy just to cut it where it's convenient, so it's often quite good to cut it a bit higher, although it is annoying for tripping up. But then when it goes to reshoot, you can just break them off very easily. They're not, you know, down low and you can't see, because once they've regrown they get really bushy. So if you leave them sort of about that height, you can sort of just stand on them as you walk past and cut all those new shoots off, and then eventually after 2-3 times of cutting those new shoots off, it will give up, because it can't get its energy from its leaves, and the trunk will rot out, and then it will just, you can just pull it out or leave it and it will just feed the soil again. Another good tip is, because our gorse is very tall, another cool thing to do is to cut it in half. So you've got the trunk, which you can use for firewood, and then you've got the bushy stuff, which you can make wood chip out of it. So I've just run into a little patch of bush lawyer. The vine is always very light, like a light white colour. It's a climber, so it climbs onto the canopy to get light. And its leaves have tiny claws. I wonder if it's going to focus. There we go, on it. That really grip into you. So that's a good reason to wear gloves. And when you get caught in a bunch of bush lawyer, it's not very fun. You've got to kind of go out the way you got stuck, because if you keep going against the little claws, then you get stuck real bad. So I'll probably just cut this out and leave it up in the trees. But I just found another rock, well, a rock today. So there's lots of rocks on our property left over from the glaciers. And the glacier came down the river. Yeah, so I'll just see. That's definitely a rock. And there's a gorse growing right next to it. So it's pretty big to move, so I don't think we'll be moving that, but it's cool. Another bit of the earth in a big form. Another top tip is, don't place your hand under the saw, because you'll get cut. It looks way worse than it is. But yeah, not so fun. Anyway, I think I'm gonna make a path back to the driveway that way, and then I'll be done for the day. That wasn't gorse. Yes, it was. Lots of prickly gorse in your hair, which at the end of the day you can untie your hair and shake it all out and it's all good. But a hat does help with that. If you've got longer hair like me, it does get caught. Big bits. But yeah, it's all fun.